Okay, it's that time again. This is a really strange book that I forgot I had in my collection, but it's called A Madness Shared by Two. True story of the M6 Erickson twins and the murder of Glenn Hollenshed by David Cann and Sharon Mackellar. This was published in 2012. I think I still have my boarding pass in here somewhere. Yep, flying Delta. This is one I was carrying on a plane. This is some reading material on a flight to San Diego. I picked this up because I saw there was a BBC show about these two, and it's a crazy story. And this book goes into a lot of much more in depth than the show went, but they describe it a little bit. It's the BBC's Madness in the Fast Lane. So look that up if you can. It's on YouTube. You can find it pretty easily. That's where I originally saw it, and that's what motivated me to get this book. But what happened in the BBC show, and those of you following along with this kind of stuff will definitely, there's a lot of things that'll jump out at you if you watch that. Like the idea that the camera crew was where they were at the time they were there. There's a lot of things that are like, wow, that's coincidental. But what happened was these twin grown women, I think they were maybe in their late 20s or so, were trying to run out into the freeway, into traffic, to kill themselves. And they succeeded in running out and getting hit by, one of them got hit by a truck. And one of them in the video, you can look up, she gets hit and gets right back up, and they're fighting. She's fighting with people. It's insane. And that spawned all kinds of rumors about were these two women like clones or super soldiers or something like that. But anyway, that's what these folks dig into in A Madness Shared by Two. And they uncover a lot of connections to, most likely, that these two were involved in some kind of drug trafficking ring, possibly drug mules. But there's a really strange murder that occurs in this too. The weird thing is that one of them was hospitalized with pretty bad injuries, and one of them, I believe, was turned loose and then proceeded to murder a guy the next day. There's a lot of just really bizarre things. I'm curious, any of you who've read this or heard of this case, if you have more information on it. Overall, the book is, it's a good book, but it is a little bit, it's kind of doesn't really provide a really solid conclusion. It just really outlines the whole situation of here's what we know about these two, and here's what was it. But we never really get to the bottom of it. Looks almost like, again, those of you familiar with like MK Ultra and Monarch stuff and all that are probably familiar with the idea of, someone being programmed to commit suicide if their cover is jeopardized or something like that. So that's kind of the vibe you get from this. And when you see the video, it's insane. I mean, it's no doubt it was captured on tape. So you can definitely check out just how insane it really was. But there's definitely a very strange element to it. Unfortunately, that's where it's kind of open-ended as to what was really going on there. I think the authors provide a pretty good case for there being involvement in organized crime as drug mules and all. That still doesn't explain exactly why they seem to have been hypnotically programmed to run out and try to kill themselves, which they tried to do multiple times. I think one of the women, after she killed this guy, then tried to go kill herself by jumping off a bridge or something. It's a really crazy, convoluted story. So anyway, this is a good book in that it really gets into all the known information about them, and it gives you some pretty good background. Again, there's a lot of big holes in their past and everything else, and obviously they were not, I think they were Swedish. Let's see. Ursula, let's see. A Madness Shared by Two is not only the true story of the lives of Sabina and Ursula Erickson, alongside the murder of Glenn Hollenshed, based on a critique re-examination of the BBC's Madness in the Fast Lane, Anyway, it's I think they were Swedish, but I for the life of me I can't find that right off the bat. But good book. A little, like I said, a little frustrating. Just in there's not really a solid conclusion. And in fact, this is kind of the night of this. I've got a couple other books I want to review that kind of in the same vein that they're kind of cliffhangers that don't really resolve because this is one that definitely, obviously, there's a lot of loose ends that nobody really knows what exactly was going on, and these two are definitely not talking. So. Anyway, A Madness Shared by Two from 2012. I believe this all went down in like 2009, 2010, somewhere in there. But it's a really interesting case study, and just it it looks like you're seeing the tip of the iceberg of some kind of mind control program because obviously these women were not in their right minds, and they both had been, for both of them to be trying to throw themselves into oncoming traffic violently and still have the strength to fight off multiple police officers in the process is pretty incredible stuff. So anyway, if you're curious about that, this is a good jumping off point into that world, but just know there's no there's no clean resolve of it, which, like I said, is a little frustrating, but it's also kind of understandable given that there really isn't, that they compiled everything they could, and that's where it stands. So anyway, A Madness Shared by Two.